gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video. Welcome back to the Robbie Basel show. I'm still trying to get my head around on the incredibleness, that's even a word, on the sports we've seen this weekend and all of the moments from the last 3 days, including today when I'm recording this on Monday, of what's happened. So, first of all, I gotta say a couple of thank you notes. Thank you for everyone who tuned into the streams on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday stream was a roller coaster and a half. Going from JJ and I giving up on Bama, Georgia, and then going back to Bama, Georgia. Hopefully, I'm playing some moments from that.
20,
No
15,
roadblocks,
10,
no
5, he's
blocks,
gone!
It's caught! What a catch! It's the freshman Ryan Williams! Sends on to the 25, the 20, the 15, 10, 5, touchdown Alabama!
The whole thing was absolutely ridiculous. And then on top of that, we got an all-time thriller on Saturday after I called Penn State and Illinois after we started with Bama, Georgia, and then transition. Then it was yesterday, from the day we're recording this on Sunday. I do Bills Ravens with Jack. Shout out to Jack D Sports, who I was with yesterday, and we get rated. And hopefully I'm playing more clips from this. We got rated by Tom Grossi.
Tom Grossi's getting rated by the comment section right now.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Yo, Tom Grossi, Ray? Yo.
Yeah.
The popular YouTuber, big Packers fan, does a lot of great stuff for charity. And his stream rated us at halftime when the Bills were getting destroyed. And it was one of the crazier moments in my streaming career or my YouTube career. So shout out Tom Grossi. The whole thing was absolutely crazy. And man, what a day yesterday was. And then today, which is where we're starting with, the New York Mets had to win one game today after struggling against Milwaukee. They won on Sunday to put themselves into a situation where they would have to go out there and win. Fight and win, as they say. After a 5-0 win on Sunday, the New York Mets were tied with the Atlanta Braves, and the Diamondbacks were all in the picture for the 2 wild cards. And the situation was simple. If the Mets won one and the Braves won one, both of them would make it. If one of the teams swept the other, the Diamondbacks would make it. So what's happened so far? Well, the Mets just won game 1. I can't play the Lindor moment, any moment from this game where we get demonetized, which kind of sucks because you guys deserve to see all of the madness that just happened. The Mets scoring 8 runs in the final 3 innings to shock the last 2 innings. Edwin Diaz blowing it, but saving himself in the end as the New York Mets play a crazy result in ATL. Final score, the Mets winning 8-7, and the Mets clinching a playoff berth in 2024. I will say this on this whole story. The New York Mets story as a whole is ridiculous. From the start of this season that they had, the start that they had was extremely poor. And fans back in May were giving up on this team. No one was really performing that much. And the team was on a downward slide, especially after the season where you trade Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer and start to try and get prospects for the future. And then the following season, this year, the Mets are able to, after a very poor start, just find a way, as they say. You hear the OMG chants all the time now. Jose Iglesias being, of course, making the song to start the whole trend. Grimace being, some would say, a part of this as well. But the team as a whole, after May, just skyrocketed. headlined, of course, by Francisco Lindor, and his MVP candidacy, you could say, has skyrocketed again after his ninth inning heroics in game one of the doubleheader between the Mets and the Braves. It's still hard for me to comprehend what we just saw. The insanity that we were able to see on our screens didn't feel real. But that's what you love about games like this. Nothing made any sense. Home runs galore, clutch hits from Ozzy Albies, Ramon Laureano earlier in the game, and late on it was Lindor with the game-winning home run, Brandon Nimmo hitting a home run to take the lead for the Mets, and then Lindor late on with the Mets losing hope. In the back end of game one, a home run occurs from Francisco Lindor, number 33 on the year for him, and the Mets find a way. And that's been the theme all year long. The Mets find a way. The whole scenario to even get to this point, from the hurricane in the middle of last week to the scenarios that could have been played out today, the storybook ending to the regular season is something that we might not ever see again. For a doubleheader that could determine the playoff spots for multiple teams, it didn't make any sense at the time. But the way it's played out so far, it's been incredible. And the Mets have made the playoffs, I believe, for the first time since 2021. And their whole story, from their poor start to the beginning of the season to their drastic change in quality of play as the year went on, this whole season has been completely changed. They had that team meeting, and this was what they brought up in the broadcast. The Mets brought up I think it was Ron Darling was saying the Mets had that team meeting headline with Francisco Lindor. They're like 67-38 cents. That team, the New York Mets in the blue and orange, will be playing playoff baseball. And this whole playoffs have so many unexpected stories, from the Royals and the Tigers both making it, two teams that we thought were going to be rebuilding, to the Mets, to, the Guardians winning the division, the Twins missing out because they couldn't beat the Marlins, the Orioles struggles late on, the Yankees coming back and getting one of the top spots, if not the top spot in the American League. This whole year has been the year of the bounce back, you could say. From the Royals, who were in a rebuilding phase, adding pieces in free agency, and the starting pitching for them really boosting the chances for the Royals, along with Bobby Witt. And they're just able to find a way in the end to come together, play really good baseball in the second half, and the Royals are able to make the big dance. You have the Detroit Tigers, who sold at the deadline. Remember, they traded Jack Flaherty and still found a way, headlined by Tariq Skubal, the left-handed starting pitcher, who I personally thought was going to be traded at the deadline. And then you had Baltimore, who struggled at the back end of the season, you could say, but were still able to get into the playoffs as the number one seed, top seed wild card team. In the National League, look, chaos is still occurring. You have the Padres as the top wild card, a team I really counted out at the beginning of the year, but have really come together to play really good baseball all season long. And joining them in the wild card were the aforementioned New York Mets. Who would have guessed it? That the Mets, after their start in April and May, have found a way to make the playoffs, even without Kodai Senga, even without the pitching pieces they had last year. the Mets were able to find a way. And the offense from Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Alvarez and all the other pieces on this team, Pete Alonso, they were able to find a way as well. And that's the continuing theme. And now as we head to the second half of the last day, we will find out what if it's going to be either Atlanta or San Diego, Atlanta or Arizona, apologies, that make it to the final wild card spot. And this will be the part where I stop it. And hopefully the next clip will be me saying, what the hell just happened? So that'll be this point. So let's go back to the American League for a second, because I didn't really get to break down what happened. Well, the Twins, like I said, completely blew it. The Twins twinned all over the field. They blew it to the Marlins last week and needed basically a miracle to happen for them to make it. That didn't happen, and the Twins are out. The Mariners swept the A's, but because the Tigers have one more win, the Tigers grab the last wild card spot ahead of behind the Royals and Baltimore. It will be Houston against Detroit, which makes no sense because that's who Houston and Detroit, sure. And then you have Baltimore against Kansas City. This feels like the 2015 playoffs, or like the times where like out that those good Royals and Orioles teams in the mid 2010s were battling it out. This feels like a playoff series from like 2016, like with how many teams were in those playoffs from Baltimore and Kansas City. Detroit was always in the mix then. New York and Cleveland as well. Houston was really, I mean, when did the Astros win that World Series? I don't. It's like, let me just search this up. 2015 MLB playoffs. It feels like a lot of these teams from like the mid 2010s. This is like a mid 2010s reunion for the playoffs. This was the year that the Cubs won it. I have a feeling a lot of these teams were there. Astros and Royals would have been really fun. Um, Astros and Royals, those two teams were not there. But the NLDS, like the American League, is like basically a mid 20 or an earlier to mid 2010s sequel, if you can say. The National League is just a hodgepodge of whoever the heck wanted to win in the end, because neither the Mets, the Braves, or the Diamondbacks wanted to win a game down the stretch. It didn't really feel like it for most of the time. And now because of the Mets heroics, because they wanted to win one game so far on Monday, they will be traveling to either San Diego or they will be traveling to Milwaukee. And we will let you know, hopefully a little bit earlier, what is going on. Part of me is hoping it is, I actually don't even have a preference. I'm just glad the Mets made the playoffs. The playoffs start on the day of recording. You have the Tigers and the Astros and Baltimore hosting KC earlier on. You have the NL Wildcard Series is in the later half of the day, which is probably when this video is going to be going out anyway. These series are on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Probably wondering, why is everything changed? Why is it the next day? And why do I look much better here? It's the next day, and I didn't get a chance to film part 2 last night. So, MLB playoff predictions, and we might be able to talk about the Champions League. Let's get into it real quick. American League, we have the Royals and the Orioles. I have the Orioles winning this series. I think the Orioles experience, this could be the main factor here. The Royals, who had no expectations, will be starting Cole Ragans and Seth Lugo in games 1 and 2. I think this is going to go to the Orioles' way. I don't think either of the American League series are going to be high scoring. I think the Orioles get it done. I just do not believe enough in this Royals offense other than Bobby Witt to be able to step up into the occasion in Baltimore. I have the Orioles winning. In the other series, I have the Astros over the Detroit Tigers. Listen, this Tigers team is the feel-good story of the American League other than the Royals. I think the Astros experience is going to take down this Tigers team. I don't trust the Tigers offense enough either. I think both games in this series, I think it's going to be a sweep. I think both two low-scoring games. I have the Astros advancing In the American League Divisional Series, I have the Yankees and Baltimore, and I have the Yankees in 4. I just am too confident that Aaron Judge and Juan Soto in the offense will power enough this not as good pitching staff to beat this Baltimore team. It's going to be a battle. I'm really excited to see how it goes. I think Gunnar Henderson, Santander, Hauser, and the other offensive pieces, Holiday, and everyone else. I'm probably forgetting somebody. I'm sorry if I am. I think they can go toe to toe, maybe with the Yankees. I just trust Garrett Cole and the other Yankees starting pitchers more. It's going to be a very iffy series. I think it's going to be higher scoring. I got the Yankees in 4. Then we have Houston against the young Cleveland Guardians. Experience is going to save the Astros again. I think this Astros lineup, the front, the second, third, and fourth, 2, 3, 4 spot with players like Bregman and Alvarez and Tucker, Altuve. I just trust them way too much. I know the Cleveland Guardians are the sexy pick here. I'm going Houston anyway. I have the Guardians. So I'm picking Houston. I'm going the Astros in 4. I have Yankees and Astros, and we'll preview the championship series after I go over the National League wild card and divisional series. National League, it's the Padres and the Braves. I have the San Diego Padres. They're the healthier bunch. They're the team that's in a better position. They also didn't have to play yesterday. I'm going with the San Diego Padres. I have them sweeping the Atlanta Braves. And then we have the Mets and the Brewers. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers over the New York Mets. Actually, no, screw it. I'm going with the New York Mets. I don't know, remember what my other prediction was, but I'm going to go with trying to remember what my prediction was. I'm just gonna go with Milwaukee. I'm gonna go with Milwaukee. I am gonna go with Milwaukee. Their pitching staff is gonna be able to light it up. I think, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Brewers. I'm gonna pick the Brewers in 3. It's gonna be a toe-to-toe series. I just don't think the Mets have it. The story I think ends for them. I'm gonna go with the Brewers over the Mets. We have the Dodgers and the Padres. I think the Padres win in 4. I have the San Diego Padres. They're a more complete team. Their pitching is more healthy. They have pitchers like Cease and Musgrove. They're starting game 1 with, I don't even remember. Game 1 starting for them. Apologies here, chat. Game 1 starting for the Padres is Michael King. They have other pieces as well. They're much more healthy. And they're going to be going up against Michael King against AJ Smith Scheuer earlier on. And as the postseason goes on, the Dodgers, who aren't as healthy in starting pitching, are going to face the healthier Padres. I got the Padres in 4. And then in the other series, it's the Phillies and the Brewers. I'm going to go with the more complete squad here. I'm going to go with Philadelphia, Zach Wheeler and Nola and company. I think with Sanchez and Ranger Suarez and company, I think they get it done pretty convincingly. I have the Phillies sweeping the Brewers, which sets up our championship series as Yankees, Astros, and Padres, Phillies. Very weird series. I will admit that. They're very, very odd. I have the Astros over the Yankees in 5 games. 5 games. I think the Yankees take the opener, get all the momentum, but then lose it all immediately. I think the Astros will take the next 4 and control that series throughout. I trust the Astros pitching in the American League more, the weaker American League. I think the pennant goes to the Astros. Then we get the Phillies and the Padres in the Battle of the Peas. I'm going to go with Philadelphia over the San Diego Padres. This is the destiny, it feels like, for Philadelphia. This feels like their time. The Padres, I think, are missing something, that spark that Philadelphia has. And Philadelphia, who were so close the last couple of years, I think will make it back to the World Series. I'm going to say the Phillies in 6 games over the Padres, which sets us up for Philadelphia against Houston. It's going to be a battle. I'm so excited if this is what it is. 2 teams that are not well liked by the rest of baseball. But in the end, I have the Philadelphia Phillies winning the World Series in 6 games over the Houston Astros. This Phillies team, with Harper and Schwarber in the attack with the bats, Trey Turner and JT Realmuto, the pitching core with Nola and Wheeler. I think they're gonna be able to get it done. This feels like their time. The National League East wins an NL East wins another title. I believe they're third in the last 6 years or so, with the Nats in 2019 and the Braves very recently. And now Philadelphia. Could it be time for the Mets in the future? Who knows? But the NL East and the Philadelphia Phillies, it feels like their time. And I have the Philadelphia Phillies winning the World Series with, I'm gonna say Trey Turner, World Series MVP. Quickly with the UEFA Champions League, we have a ton of action in the Champions League. Let's go over my predictions for this week's games, correction. We have Salzburg against Brest. I'm going to go with Stade Brestois. They just feel like they're going to be a team of destiny that was really overlooked or not looked enough in the beginning of the tournament. I'm going to go with Stade Brestois. Then you have Stuttgart against Sparta Praha. Listen, the Prague teams know how to draw games. I think Stuttgart struggles at home. In a bigger European setting, I'm going to say a draw between Stuttgart and Praha. Dortmund and Celtic, I think this one's pretty simple. I'm going to go with Borussia Dortmund at home in front of the yellow wall. I think the way they're playing as well is too good. I have them beating Celtic 2-0. PSV and Sporting feels like an automatic draw. I'm going a 1-all in the Netherlands. PSV and Sporting, two very equal teams. I have PSV and Sporting draw. Slovan Bratislava and Manchester City. I have Manchester City winning 4-1 over Slovan Bratislava City, who have been struggling without Rodri and De Bruyne. I think find their way against Slovan Bratislava. Give me a 4-1. Barcelona and Young Boys. Barcelona at home, too good. I have them winning 3-0 over the Swiss Giants, a Swiss team that's been really struggling in the league. I think they struggle in the Champions League. Give me a 3-0. We have Leverkusen and AC Milan. Give me a draw, 2-2. Two teams that are on very similar levels. I think they'll go back and forth with each other really well. Give me a draw. Inter and Red Star, another game that could change really fast. This Red Star team is not as bad as people think it is. I'm going to say Inter Milan wins their first game of the Champions League campaign. Give me a 2-0. Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain, two teams that are also on very similar levels at the top of their respective, at near the top of their respective leagues. Give me a draw here for Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. I think Bradley Barcola and Ousmane Dembele and the rest of the attack for PSG will make Arsenal struggle. Give me a 1-1. Tomorrow, you Shakhtar against Atalanta. Listen, playing Shakhtar has always been a struggle. They're playing at the Veltins Arena in Gelsenkirchen, uh, which I'm actually saying right now. I figured out how to say Gelsenkirchen. Give me a win for Atalanta away. Give me a 1-0 for Atalanta. That they just feel like another team with destiny. Feyenoord against Girona. Give me Girona. No, give me a draw. Give me a draw with Girona and Feyenoord. Both teams not off to the best starts. Give me a draw. Benfica, Atletico Madrid, one of the premier games of tomorrow. Two teams that are heading towards a rising as well. The Portuguese Giants against one of the best teams in Spain. I'm going to go with Atletico Madrid. It's a away win. Give me Atletico Madrid 1, Benfica 0. Liverpool and Bologna, a Liverpool side that's been flying. But Arne Slot made a great point. They haven't played real competition yet. I don't really see that with Bologna. Give me Liverpool at Anfield, home win 3-1 the score. Juventus against Leipzig, another game that's going to be really fun. That Leipzig team and Juventus play very fun styles of football in another world, at least, with Juventus struggling to score in front of goal. I think Juventus turns the tide, but it won't be enough. Give me a 1-1 with Juventus and Leipzig. Real Madrid against Lille. Real Madrid, who have been struggling a little bit to start the year for their standards. Give me a win for them over Lille in France. Give me a 2-1 Real Madrid win. Brugge and Sturm Graz, the Austrian team. I think they find a way to get it done. The Austrian teams at home are sometimes a big problem. I think Sturm Graz gets it done. Give me a 1-0. Villa and Bayern, one of another premier fixture for tomorrow. Villa coming off a very poor draw against Ipswich Town, which we'll discuss later in the video. I think Bayern get it done at Villa Park. Give me a 1-0. And then finally, Dinamo Zagreb, the Croatians hosting Monaco. Give me another draw. Give me a 2-2 between Dinamo Zagreb and Monaco. As we'll now send it back to the live version of myself from the original recording to talk about the Premier League. Okay. So, Major League Baseball is pure madness, and it's kind of what you were hoping for in the end. But the Premier League was also pure madness, and we'll head to there next. And surprisingly, I actually had some of my predictions turn out correctly, and there was a lot of headlines throughout the weekend, and controversy abound. Just as a spoiler, I will be talking about the Bruno red card. There will be a Basel breakdown on Instagram of the Bruno red card and my brief thought. It won't be really a breakdown. It'll be my real overall take, and we'll go through like the considerations and we'll do all of that. That will be a clip on Instagram going up on Wednesday. But we'll go back to the Premier League. And we kicked it off with City and Newcastle by the coast. First of all, I'm worried about Man City. I'm starting to feel a little worried for them. And what I mean by what I'm saying by I'm worried for Manchester City, they did not look that great without Rodri controlling the midfield. Let's take a look at this match again. You have Newcastle and Man City. It ended in a 1-1 draw. Josko Kvardiel scored early on, but a penalty conceded by Ederson. He tripped Anthony Gordon in the box. Anthony Gordon slotted home the penalty for Newcastle's first and his second of the season. Let's look at the numbers. You have City, who had more shots, but the chances that they were creating were not that great of opportunities. And City were denied a late winner as well, courtesy of a big save off of a Bernardo Silva volley by Nick Pope, the goalkeeper for Newcastle. So City did have a couple of chances, but I'm worried for them because with Rodri out for the season, you have De Bruyne not featured currently. So you have Rodri out, De Bruyne out. Haaland didn't score in this contest. How well does this City team do without the impact that Rodri creates? You see the numbers with how much Rodri impacts this team. City only wins about, I believe it's in the 60%, 64% is what it is. I believe is what I read today. It's 64% win percentage with Rodri not there. That won't win you a Premier League title. There's a good chance that doesn't win you a Premier League title. So who will be that player to step up for Manchester City as the season goes on? You will expect De Bruyne back eventually. But who is that player to step up? Is it going to be Haaland up front at the number 9? Will it be Bernardo Silva in the midfield? Will it be Gundogan? Will it be Jack Grealish, surprisingly, making an impact? Foden, Doku. Who will it be up front or in the midfield? You're talking about players like Kovacic, who's been okay so far to start this season. Who will that player be to step up in the absence of Rodri? That's what I'm watching out for with City the rest of the way. But with Newcastle, great result for them. I talked about it on Saturday. The way they could play at home at St. James's Park, it's remarkable. It's really, really, really remarkable on what they can do at St. James's Park, and the home statistics prove it. Let's look at their home numbers. Statistics, please. Home matches last season, like over the last 2 years, they dropped points. They only lost 3 home games last season. And so in their last 2 years, they have won, well, they've won 14, drawn 5, and lost 3 at home. That's really good for Newcastle standards. They've been able to lock it down when they really needed to, and got a big bounce back point after drawing Fulham 2 weeks ago. And if you remember that video, I was like, I don't know how they're going to be able to perform against Man City. And I said that on Tuesday. But then on Friday of last week, I said, I think Newcastle at home with Rodri out, they could be the ones to start the trend of Manchester City struggling. And you saw it. Newcastle's defense held up really well, and they're able to not allow the most chances by Manchester City. And Newcastle have a big matchup to play in the middle of the week. They play Wimbledon in the Cup, a match that was supposed to happen last week, but the field got flooded. Long story with that. But if you look at the Premier League schedule for Newcastle, after the international break, which we're doing a video on that in a couple of weeks, they have Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, 3 games in a row. But to finish this side of the international break, they play Wimbledon in the Cup, and then they're playing Everton on the weekend. So this is where they can really pick up that momentum to get them into a very difficult stretch, home to Brighton, at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea, and then on the road. They're at home, to Arsenal. So that'll be a team to watch out for as we continue. Let's go into the results from Saturday, and it was a big day for Cole Palmer. What a player Cole Palmer is, and the impact he's made for Chelsea. They may have bought like 1 million players, it feels like. But who's the one to truly step up for them? The one guy the one player, it feels like, that's been there for a while, but he really hasn't. Cole Palmer, what a player. I'll say it again. His impact has been seismic. Coming from Manchester City, heading to Chelsea. A couple seasons ago, it feels like, we didn't know what type of impact he'd make at City. Last year, we were saying that who knows what he was going to be able to do. But Cole Palmer can make an impact, and you saw that against Brighton. 4 first-half goals. I'll say it again. Cole Palmer, what a player. He's really making a conversation for who is the best English winger in the world. He's making a real conversation of this now. Between him, I believe it's between Palmer, Saka, and Foden as some of the, if not the best wingers from England right now. In the present day England squad, those are probably your 3 best wingers. And if you're asking me who would I rather have on the field, not going to lie, Cole Palmer is my answer. He is scoring in bunches. And that's not even saying how much he's scoring. I think that's a little bit of a letdown. 4 first-half goals. Something you never really see in the modern game. And Cole Palmer, for his credit, has essentially put this team on his back. He's scored 6 goals in 6 matches. 6 goals, 4 assists, with an 8.26. In his second season for Chelsea, it's felt like he's been there longer, to be fair. Coming from Man City, going to Chelsea, and the impact that he's made for those fans at Stamford Bridge. He is pretty much the main reason why this team is in the spot that they're in. A big 4-2 win for Chelsea over Brighton has put Chelsea through 6 matches in a Champions League position, 2 points behind Liverpool, who we'll talk about later. Weird start for Chelsea. Really, really weird start for Chelsea. Granted, they have to play in the Conference League this week. I believe this week they play Genk. But if you look at their Premier League schedule, they get Nottingham Forest to end this side of the international break before they play Liverpool, they play Newcastle, their EFL Cup tie, and then Manchester United as their next domestic matches. They also get a Conference League fixture away in Greece against Panathinaikos. This Chelsea team is more legit than we think they are. They could be in this conversation longer than we thought originally. You were questioning in the beginning of the season who is going to be the team early on that rose to the occasion. Kind of like how West Ham and Villa did at the beginning of last year, and Villa was able to keep their spot. West Ham fell off a little bit. But who's been that team to rise to the occasion so far? It's kind of shocking that we're even putting them in this conversation, but it's Chelsea. Headlined by Cole Palmer, headlined by how well they've been playing so far. Chelsea, to start this season, have 13 points through 6 matches and have soared their way up the league and have been unbeaten in their last 5. They deserve to be in their spot. And the possible points up for grabs against Nottingham Forest in the next match day, this Chelsea team could be really one to watch out for to gain momentum as the season continues. We'll go a little bit faster through some matches now. You had another poor day from West Ham. They went out and drew Brentford. Brian Mbeumo scored early. Tomas Soucek grabs a late equalizer. Not enough for West Ham to try and get back into this game. It's 1-1 at the community stadium. Everton played Palace, and Dwight McNeil's brace is the reason for victory for Everton, who have gotten themselves out of the relegation spots and into 16th with their first win of the season. They've gotten points in their last 2 matches. The worry goes to Crystal Palace, who a lot of people had hoping. They've gotten 3 points from their first 6 and are in a relegation spot at this point of the year, which is something we really were not expecting. Granted, we're not even a 6th, really pretty much we're a 6th of the way in to the season, but just not a lot clicking for this Crystal Palace squad. You had Fulham grab a big 3 points away to Nottingham Forest. Raul Jimenez hitting a penalty in the 51st minute to grab all 3 points for the black and white. What a team they've been. This Fulham team is in 6th. 11 points through 6 matches. They're unbeaten in their last 5. Are they unbeaten to start the season? No, they're not. They lost to Man United. That's right. They lost the curtain raiser to Manchester United and have not looked away since. They've beaten Leicester. They drew Ipswich. They drew West Ham, beat Newcastle, and beat Fulham. They also they were humiliated in that 16-15 penalty shootout to Preston. But since that Preston loss, they've won back-to-back and play a very uphill task against Manchester City next. Fulham's start has to be watched out for. They could be the dark horse team that we were really not expecting. Kind of the trend that Chelsea was. Fulham was even more unexpected. And then we have Arsenal, who needed to settle it late. Early goals by Martinelli and Trossard were the start to the chaos. But James Justin, I think that's how you say it, scores not 1, but 2 goals and levels the match at 2. But late winners from what we thought was Leandro Trossard, but it was Wilfred Ndidi own goal, and then a 99th minute goal from Kai Havertz to seal the deal. Arsenal should have won this by a lot more if you look at the XG. 4.6 XG, 35 shots to 5. But if we've learned anything from this season, the shots and the XG don't matter. It's how many balls you put in the back of the net. You can just look at XG to see how many chances the team was creating. And Arsenal were creating chances by a plenty, if that's even a sentence. I'm too tired for this. But in reality, this Arsenal team is showing what they can do. Granted, it's some late game heroics, but they're able to grab 3 points against Leicester. The last game of Saturday was Liverpool. They were able to grab 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Ibrahim Kanate scoring at the end of the first half. Ayat Nouri grabbed a goal for Wolves, but it's Mo Salah's 61st minute penalty that grabs the winner for Liverpool. The 32-year-old from Egypt, once again, coming up in the clutch, and the Liverpool grab all 3 points against Wolves. Wolves are concerning. They've gotten 1 point in their first 6, -10 goal difference. A team that a lot of people are having in that relegation scrap, they really might be in that scrap all year. Yes, we might be overrating how bad of a spot they're in, but all I gotta say is yikes. What is happening to Wolves? Man, they have to be studied, and that might be a breakdown in the future, depending on the trend that they go. Into Sunday, and we have more results that make no sense. Ipswich just love to cause chaos, and I'm here for it. They went out and drew Villa, which is concerning for Villa because how do you draw Ipswich and would desire to be a contender? Other than Ipswich is really hard to play against at home. Portman Road may be more difficult than we thought it was to play at. Ipswich have drawn 4 of their first 6. They're in a relegation scrap because they haven't won a game yet. But if you look at Ipswich, they're unbeaten in their last 4. They've drawn 4 in a row. They just can't win or lose, I guess. I think that's the way I'm gonna put it. Like, yikes. Like, they can't lose or win. And for Villa's sake, it's their first drop points they've dropped points for the first time in like a month because they won 3 in a row, then dropped points to Ipswich. They play a very crucial game against Manchester United next. And of how big that game will be, especially since it's on Sunday morning on October 6th, that could be where Aston Villa makes their stand, and they might have to do it against Manchester United because drawing Ipswich is not great, especially for a team that wants to contend. Speaking of Manchester United, they went out and lost to Tottenham. I said it was going to be 1-0. It was 1-0 for a bit. Brennan Johnson scoring inside 5 minutes. And then the game changed with a Bruno Fernandes red card. And I'll try to maybe talk over the clip now. I'll briefly talk about this now, but I'll film the breakdown video next. It's a harsh decision because Fernandes is like kind of slipping and then makes the challenge. It's an inexcusable challenge, yeah. But the harsh part about it, I thought when watching it back, I thought it was initially a yellow because it's like he's kind of slipping, but he still lunges, studs up into the Tottenham player. We'll talk more about it in the Basel breakdown. Check out Instagram, handle in description, to see my full breakdown of the play. But the Bruno red card changed the match. Dejan Kulusevski scored in the 47th minute, and then Dominic Solanke finally does something. And this game was surely done then. Second goal of the year for Dominic Solanke. You know, man, like, what a start to the season for Spurs. And also, Solanke's starting to catch form. He scored in 3 straight in all competitions. He scored against Brentford, Qarabag, and then scored against Manchester United in this one. But the rumors about Erik ten Hag are really ramping up for him to possibly get fired again. Like, the rumors about it are ridiculous. I'll put it like this. I don't think United are going to sack Ten Hag yet. I think it is a little bit premature, but the worry, and I think this is from what United fans are going on about this whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. They spent all of this money, and you can't go out at home and be a team that is going to contend in Tottenham. I mean, look at the start of the season they've had. They're in 13th. They've won one of their last five. I will say it again. This Manchester United team is 13th in the Premier League and have won one match of their last five. With the talent that they have on the field, even with all the injury problems they could possibly have, at this point in the season, you cannot be 13th with this team. I will say it like that. This squad of Manchester United is too good to be this terrible. How does this happen? And now I understand really why the fans want Ten Hag out. And I believe we will continue to be a waiting game. And I understand that it's kind of annoying to see Ten Hag still there. From who I've spoken to, from fans of Manchester United, they're all frustrated, and I can't blame them. I don't know how much longer we will see Erik Ten Hag as a manager of Manchester United. But trust me when I say this now, the hot seat for him just got lit to another degree. And what I mean by another degree, it goes from about 100 degrees to 1,000. Because the spot they're in, with the way the fans are reacting, I'll say, it's a little bit worrisome. And I think I don't know if Ten Hag will last the season. And I think for Manchester United fans' sake, I think he should get fired. But it's a wait and see thing for Erik Ten Hag right now and his job security. Finally, we just had a game go final. It is Bournemouth and Southampton playing a very interesting contest. This match just went final. It goes Bournemouth 3, Southampton 1. Goals from Evanilson, who was the striker to replace Solanke. He goes out and grabs the goal. The striker, who people were questioning, grabs his first goal as a member of Bournemouth. They went up 1-0 early on. And as the game went on, you knew this Bournemouth team was going to dominate. And guess what, folks? They did. Dango or Ouattara and Antoine Semenyo grabbed the next two. It was 3-0 for a while. Taylor Harwood-Bellis, the former Manchester City center back, grabbed a goal on an aerial ball in. But it was just not enough as Bournemouth, who have gone off to a pretty okay start for them, after losing a couple of games, they break their back-to-back game losing streak against Liverpool and Chelsea and grab a big 3 points against Southampton, a team needing momentum. And they will be heading into another interesting stretch as well because they play Leicester away at the King Power Stadium to end this side of the next international break, but then play Arsenal, Villa, and City. Another team heading into a very interesting part of their season. NFL is next. Let me load up my notes. The NFL is next, and storylines galore with this. Let's take a look at the biggest results from the NFL this weekend. To kick it off, because nothing makes any sense anymore. After the Giants lost to Dallas, we were treated to some absolute thrillers and the Jets. We'll start with the Jets, who played very subpar in the rain at the Meadowlands, and they lost to Denver. You know, they've played each other 3 years in a row. The road teams won every single time, and it's been close every year. But what? The Aaron Rodgers, who threw for 225 yards, the ground game was irrelevant. Frustrating is what it was. Bo Nix finally throws his first career touchdown pass to Cortland Sutton, and because of that, and the Jets getting a lot of penalties, and Greg Zuerlein missing that field goal late, even though the loss was not his fault, he kicked 3 field goals to keep them in this damn thing. The Jets lose 10-9 to go to 2-2 and are second in the division because everyone else is injured and back, or the Bills. We'll talk about the Bills later. To continue this theme of misery, the Cincinnati Bengals, who I thought were at risk of losing to the Panthers, they did not lose to the Panthers. Joe Burrow looked all right. Andy Dalton also looked all right, but because the Bengals are better, the Bengals did find a way to win on the road. The Texans and the Jags played a thriller as well. Saw Trevor Lawrence start to show signs of competence, but it's C.J. Stroud and the Texans in the end. 345 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns leads the way for Houston. You had the Atlanta Falcons, who made it late, but a late field goal by Younghoe Koo settles the score with the Falcons and Saints, as the Falcons take this one by 2. Final score 26-24. The Indianapolis Colts lose Anthony Richardson again to injury, but are saved by Joe Flacco, which just makes perfect sense. He throws 2 touchdowns and 168 yards. Jonathan Taylor leaves this game. It's believed that he has a high ankle sprain. Interested to see how the run game looks for them in the future. But Justin Fields is still looking like the quarterback we thought we were going to see. He had a great game this weekend, 312 passing yards. He rushed for 55 and scored 2 touchdowns on the ground, 3 total on the day for Fields, and it's still not enough. Frustrating if you're a fan of the Steelers, as I believe, it's their first loss of the season as well. Other games in the early session, the Bears and Caleb Williams finally grabbed their first win. Their first real win because of whatever happened with Tennessee. They went out and beat the Rams because the Rams have no receivers. Kyron Williams is still trying to carry this team, and Tutu Atwell is being impactful, but it's not enough as the Rams fall to the Bears. The Buccaneers apparently have the Eagles' number, as the Bucs, led by Baker Mayfield, lead their way into. They hosted Philly. I was about to say into Philly, but it wasn't in Philadelphia. The Buccaneers walked Philly all over the field. Baker Mayfield is good. The Bucs defense was great. Good bounce back from Tampa as they avenged their terrible loss to the Denver Broncos last week and win 33-16. To start the second session, unless I missed a game. I did miss a game. Wow, shocking. I missed a game again. The Vikings and the Packers played a showdown in Green Bay, and it was the first half dominance of the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold. But guess who played in this game? A little friend named Jordan Love came back. And I wasn't expecting this from Friday. He threw for almost 400 yards and almost led one of the best comebacks in NFL history, but was just short in the end as the Minnesota Vikings stay undefeated and beat the Packers by 2. The big question for the Packers is the running game. Apparently, it was not. It was in maybe across the border in Canada. The receiving game was there. Jaden Reed 7 for 139. Datavion Wicks and Tucker Kraft all catching at least 1 touchdown. But for the Vikings, Sam Darnold is still being Sam Darnold. Aaron Jones is good. So is Justin Jefferson. And the Vikings are barely able to hold on as they take down the Packers. In the late afternoon session, the Washington Commanders are flying, headlined by the aerial game of Jaden Daniels and the 3-1 Commanders. Are we sure we have the right script? Hold on, let me check my email. It's here. It says NFL script week 4. Let me open my email. The Washington Commanders destroy the Cardinals and go to 3-1. Yep, that's what the script says. Let me close that up and go back to my notes. Yeah, this Commanders team is more legit than we thought. Olamide Zaccheaus. What a player, apparently. Brian Robinson is good. Terry McLaurin caught a touchdown but didn't have the most yards. Who knew trading Jahan Dotson and making the receiving core worse makes them better? I don't freaking know anymore. Zach Ertz was also playing, but it was Brian Robinson, Olamide Zaccheaus, Terry McLaurin, and the Jaden Daniels show as they walked the Cardinals 42-14. You had the Las Vegas Raiders and 130 yards of passing offense, which, by the way, wasn't even the least of the weekend. Because we're going to go back to the Jets for a second. Bo Nix threw for 60 yards and won a game. So apparently 130 yards can get you the job done as well as Las Vegas beats Cleveland. I'm just frustrated looking at this. Brock Bowers was irrelevant for Las Vegas, the big player for them on the day. Alexander Madison, Zamir White, and Jacoby Myers were their leading yards getters. They didn't really do a lot because in the end, Trey Tucker ran in a touchdown. DJ Turner ran in his only touch of the ball, ran in a touchdown. Cleveland only scored on late on a fumble recovery or fumble return touchdown after Blake Whiteheart caught a pass from Deshaun Watson. Very weird game. Vegas have beaten 2 AFC North teams and are 2-2. Works for me. The Browns are the Browns. They brown all over the field because they're the Browns. They beat one of the teams with the worst record in football. And having failed to beat the Giants and Vegas. And will now have to play Washington. Who knew you would have to be scared of Washington now? Not me, because the Browns' next 3 games are Washington, Philadelphia, and Cincinnati. This team is a disaster. I don't even know where you start with the breakdown of this team. You had the Patriots and the Niners play pretty much we all expected. Brock Purdy's cool. Jawan Jennings caught some long passes. Jordan Mason's still doing his thing. George Kittle was unlucky for forever, but did catch a nice touchdown pass. Deebo Samuel is back. He was caught 3 for 58, but they were distributing the ball all around. Fred Warner was a big staple on the defense. It was a complete team effort. Too many field goals, though. That's the one thing to watch out for with San Francisco. They were not able to punch in drives early. They were able to later, courtesy of the Kittle touchdown. Let's look at this summary. Moody field goal, pick 6, George Kittle, Jordan Mason. 430 total yards, though. Still a good day. Niners get the job done because the Patriots are not the 49ers. They are off to a very struggling start to the season. KC finds a way. It's pissing me off now. Ladd McConkey caught a touchdown. Cameron Dicker got a field goal. It was 10-0. We thought it was done, but it's Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Xavier Worthy caught another deep touchdown. Samaje Perine ran in a late touchdown. And Justin Herbert, who surprisingly played in this game, was okay. But the ground game certainly wasn't, as the Chiefs find a way. No Isaiah Pacheco, no problem. Chiefs win. It was a struggle for the Chiefs offense for a while. Travis Kelce playing his first good game of the season. He caught 7 passes for 89 yards. We talked about Xavier Worthy. He went 3 for 73. But Mahomes and company come away with a win. And then we had Sunday Night Football, which shout out again to Tom Grossi's chat for rating the stream. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on the ground steal the show. Justice Hill as well. The backfield steals the show. Derrick Henry, almost 200 yards on the ground, including an 87-yard touchdown to start the game, to start the first drive for the Ravens. Longest rushing touchdown in Ravens history. Justice Hill catching a wheel route out of the backfield at the back of the end zone for a touchdown. The Bills struggled all night long. It was a touchdown from Ty Johnson's only rush that got the Bills on the board, other than a field goal. But Lamar Jackson on the ground by himself, 6 for 54 and a score. And it was the big day for Derrick Henry, stealing the spotlight and helping the Ravens to a 35-10 victory. Titans, Dolphins, and Seahawks, Lions will put the scores first for Titans, Dolphins, and now for Seahawks and Lions. Hopefully those games went fine, but we'll wait and see on those because I am filming this before those games, of course. Finally, we are talking golf and the insanity that happened in the President's Cup. Because my God, I was wrong about some of the President's Cup stuff. The U.S. did win. For hallelujah. Let's go over the full thing again. Thursday was all USA. They went out and won all 5 matches. The internationals respond by winning all 5 Friday matches. So then Saturday comes around, and it's a more balanced day. And the United States lost 1 4-ball match all week. They went, it was 8-1 in 4-ball, which is absolutely stupid. You had Scotty Scheffler and Colin Morikawa win a match on Saturday. Tony Finau and Xander. Keegan Bradley and Wyndham Clark lost, but we'll talk about Keegan Bradley in a minute. Patrick Cantlay and Sam Burns also won, which led us to Saturday foursomes. And it was the United States getting revenge after their poor Friday performance. Big days, but as a whole for Colin Morikawa and Xander, they won both of their matches. Cantlay was with Xander. Sam Burns was with Morikawa. Harman and Homo lost to Taylor Pendrith and Adam Scott. And, of course, Scheffler and Henley getting revenge after their loss on Friday. To set up Sunday singles, we did have a match end that was tied. It was Sam Burns tying Tom Kim. Xander won again. He beat Jason Day. Russell Henley beat Sungjae Im. Patrick Cantlay beat Taylor Pendrith. And the match that ended the trophy and ended the weekend, it was Keegan Bradley winning 1-up over Siwoo Kim. A match that was dominated on the back 9 by Keegan Bradley, who won, I believe, 3 or 4 holes. He won 4 of the remaining holes. He was at one point 3 up with 3 to play. Lost 16, lost on 17, but was able to hold on for the final point. The U.S. were able to win 2 more matches, couple other matches tied. Tony Finau got beaten up by Corey Connors. Shout out Christian Besadenholt. He had a good week. Hideki Matsuyama beating Scotty Scheffler 1-up, which was kind of crazy. That was a very good match, too. So it was a lot of entertaining matches from the President's Cup. We had a lot of back and forth action between the players. You had deleted tweets. You had the fans really getting into it after a poor showing by the fans on Thursday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they were showing it off. And it was amazing. That's what I love about the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup. The fans are amazing. They bring the energy to the players. It makes it feel like an away day. Like when the U.S. in the Ryder Cup, goes to France or Italy or wherever they go, and the European fans showing up. You saw something similar in the second half of the weekend by the Canadians, which was awesome. Montreal, after Thursday, really showed out, really came together, and really brought the energy. After Tom Kim was saying, like, yeah, the fans weren't really there, it felt like, on Thursday. They were really helpful to the internationals, but the U.S., and the talent that they have on their squad were able to get it done. Final score, the United States 18.5, international teams 11.5, and the United States retains the President's Cup once again. Finally, this will be the final topic. We did lose another star of sports on the day of recording of this. Dikembe Mutombo, one of the star centers in the game, died of brain cancer today on Monday morning. He was a great player, one of the best shot blockers in the history of the game, and one that a lot of people knew, whether when his playing days or the Geico commercial. A lot of people knew who he was, and he was so impactful to the game, not just in the United States, but around Africa as well. Back in his home in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, he was trying to promote the game there as well. Really, really good player, and he will be truly missed. Dikembe Mutombo had died today. He was 58. So apologies if you're a little sad now, but that's just the way some things are. It sucks, but we will always remember the legacy of the impact of Dikembe Mutombo. And unfortunately, that will be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the like button down below and subscribe. But for now, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long. Enjoy your week. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.